that I think perhaps a lot of you may not have heard. J-Dubs, if you want to slide the banner behind you and get this mic, that would be great. This camera, just in case we weave you in. I value your perspective. We'll talk new updates from the University of Virginia mass murder, and we're also going to talk a number of other topics today besides the mass murder. Give the show a like and a share on any platform you're watching upon. We are live across all social media platforms. Take a look at the headlines that are on screen now, and this is an idea of what we're going to talk about. We have restaurant news for you today. We have news from a former guest, Cole Hendricks. Well, his wife joined us, Janet. She was fabulous. A lot we're going to cover on the show. Give it a like, give it a share anywhere you are watching. Give it a like and a share anywhere you are watching. And we'll get rocking and rolling in T-minus about 30 seconds. I'd encourage you to look at the screen now. Look at the screen now so you can see the topics we're talking about. I think a lot of these topics are going to be fresh topics to you guys. A lot of digging and a lot of talking and communicating and chatting with folks on the phone, utilizing our network. A lot of that goes into the content on today's show. Bill McChesney, hello. The mayor of McIntyre, Bill McChesney. The king of Virginia Beach, Scott Aaronworth, is just a fantastic stand-up human. Hello, welcome to the show. We love you, Scotty Aaronworth. Sincerely mean that, Scott. Johnny Ornalis, ¿Qué pasa, amigo? Johnny Ornalis, it's time you get a moniker. What would Johnny Ornalis's moniker be? Because Zion's Crossroads? I like that. Say that into the mic. That was your idea, Judah. I think that's fantastic. Johnny Ornalis, say that into the mic. Johnny, you're getting a new moniker here, Johnny Ornalis, courtesy of J-Dubs himself.
King of the Crossroads.
King of the Crossroads. And why he's the king of the Crossroads is El Mariachi is at Zion's Crossroads, and it's a fabulous restaurant. He's the co-owner with his brother Steve. King of the Crossroads is excellent. Well done, Judah. Bravo, amigo. I'm going to give you some props on that. King of the Crossroads. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? A lot we're going to cover on the show. Give it a like, give it a share anywhere you're watching. Join us with the discussion and the participation, and participate with us. Real estate's going to be on the brain today. Just a fantastic tweet from Deep Throat. Deep Throat, are you watching today? I very much enjoyed conversating with Deep Throat through DMs. And King of Knowledge, John Blair, you're going to love this comment from Deep Throat that I'm going to relay live on air about Charlottesville City real estate. All right, Judah Wickhauer, things are looking good on our end. Weekend, my friend. Rock and roll when you are ready, sir. Good Thursday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly for joining us on a crisp fall afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network, a network today presented by Scott Wagner, Integrated Medicine. Dr. Wagner has your back at Scott Wagner, Integrated Medicine. Today's talk show is live in Charlottesville, across Albemarle County, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. And today's topics will continue to offer fresh and analytical perspective on a mass murder at the University of Virginia that has undoubtedly rocked the UVA community, a community that stretches far and wide across the globe. I have heard from many of you, viewers and listeners, and many of you not just in the Commonwealth or in Central Virginia or in Charlottesville or in Albemarle County. We've heard from folks in the Netherlands, folks in Sweden, folks in England, in South America. I had a viewer reach out to us from Australia. We had viewers reach out to us from India. We had viewers reach out to us from California, from Texas, Oklahoma, Alaska, Canada. And there was a common denominator amongst all the viewers who reached out, and that was the University of Virginia. That was orange and blue, and that was 4 years of undergraduate. Some spent graduate school years here, impressionable times in the lives of so many, and they reflected nostalgic on times that were of quality of life, times of bliss, times of academic challenge, times of athletic achievement. And another common denominator was heartbreak. Heartbreak. Today we will have fresh news from the mass murder at the University of Virginia for you, the viewer and listener. But today we will also offer topic matter that is not specific to this mass murder that is in the global news cycle. We'll talk real estate today. We will talk restaurants today. We will talk a former city manager who has passed away and headed for heaven. We'll talk politics today. Judah Wickhauer is our esteemed director. I will give you a heads up when we call for the Janet Hendricks clip. I also, in the headlines, sent you a link, and I should have given you a heads up, and I apologize. The link has photos that I would love to get on screen when we talk about the Shamrock Road listings. Upzoning will be a topic today. Heather Walker shared this on social media, and Heather Lamont Walker, if you are watching, give the show a like and a share, or someone send a direct message to Heather Walker, please, so she can watch. I appreciate Heather Walker's commentary on social media quite a bit. 2 homes on Shamrock Road, right in the middle of upzoning, that have an asking price of $1,450,000. If it was not for upzoning, and upzoning in a nutshell is local government in the city of Charlottesville changing zoning to allow more density with the thinking that additional supply will drive affordability because economics suggests more supply means price point diminishing. Unfortunately, we are seeing in the city of Charlottesville that is not the case. Upzoning, in fact, driving price point as speculators are purchasing properties at high dollar price tags for the sole purpose of creating multifamily units, additional rental revenue streams to line pockets of capitalists. We'll talk 201 and 205 Shamrock Road, homes on most days that would be listed with a 3 in front of it, combined maybe 500,000 or 600,000, and now they are listed at $1,450,000. Tim Carson, friend of the program, has that listing. I'll give you an update on the alleged killer today. someone who unsuccessfully tried to purchase guns on two different periods of time in 2018 and 2021. I have a statement to read to you, the viewer and listener, from Marlon Dance, the owner of Dance Sporting Goods. This statement detailed and fresh for you to learn about. Jamie, those are different properties. Jamie Turner asked about the Shamrock Road properties that we're about to highlight. No, these are two completely different properties. Jamie Turner, the mayor of Gordonsville, now repping the PEP in Culpeper. Tim Grossman, a friend of the program, owned the properties on Shamrock Road very close to the stadium. Those properties, Tim Grossman's properties near the stadium, went under contract quickly to an out-of-market investor. Jamie Turner, the properties I'm going to talk about today on Shamrock Road are on the other side of Jefferson Park Avenue. Not the Scott Stadium side, but the Cherry Avenue side, the side close to the railroad tracks. We'll show you photos. Folks who own property along Shamrock Road and in the JPA corridor are sitting on stacks of paper because of this upzoning speculation. And we will explain why and how today. I also have an update for you on Deshaun Perry's family spokesman, who happens to be an attorney. Deshaun Perry, the fallen linebacker, one of 3 University of Virginia students who died on a bus shooting. His family spokesman, an attorney, the same attorney who represented the Parkland school shooting victims. On today's show, we will chitter-chatter Ivy Roadhouse, a restaurant that had promise and potential that is now closed. A restaurant that is now for lease, fully equipped. A sign of the times, undoubtedly. I want to highlight and remember Cole Hendricks, who died earlier this week, by playing a clip from when his wife Janet Hendricks sat across from me right there on the set of the I Love CVille show. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's important to analyze the impact that Donald Trump will have yet again now that Donald Trump has announced he is running for president in 2024. Love him, hate him, whatever it is, you certainly know he's there. And from my standpoint, unfortunately, he has announced another candidacy or another run for president. I want to lead with news that I don't think many know yet. Christopher Darnell Jones Jr., the alleged murderer, a mass murder here at the University of Virginia, tried unsuccessfully to purchase guns in 2018 and 2021. He then purchased a pistol in July and a rifle in February of this year. I'm going to read to you a statement from Marlon Dance, the owner of Dance Sporting Goods. Dance Sporting Goods and its owner is now very much in the news. Colonial Heights, Virginia, Dance Sporting Goods, 570 South Park Boulevard. Here is the statement, which I will read verbatim from Marlon Dance, the owner of Dance Sporting Goods. Quote, "We are saddened to learn of the tragic events that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia on Sunday evening, and our thoughts are with the 3 young men who tragically lost their lives and the 2 students who were wounded in this senseless act of violence. Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. purchased 2 firearms in 2022 from Dance Sporting Goods, a Glock Model 45 9mm pistol with an additional magazine on July 8, 2022, and a Ruger Model AR-556 caliber rifle on February 19, 2022. There was nothing noteworthy about these purchases. Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. attempted to buy a firearm on 2 separate occasions in 2018 and 2021 from Dance Sporting Goods. Neither of the sales transfers, however, were completed. On December 31, 2018, Jones attempted to purchase a handgun and was under the age of 21. And on July 8, 2021, he attempted to purchase a S&W model MP-15-22 caliber rifle, but failed the background check. Jones did not receive either of the firearms he attempted to purchase, and both attempted purchases were forwarded to the Virginia State Police for further action. We will continue to assist law enforcement as they attempt to make sense of this terrible tragedy, and we pray for the victims of this tragedy. Signed, Marlon Dance, owner of Dance Sporting Goods." I respect the owner of this sporting goods store, Marlon Dance, for issuing this statement. I respect a small business owner showing transparency during times of difficulty, because that's not easy to do. And Marlon Dance is doing that. I respect Marlon Dance, the owner of Dance's Sporting Goods, clearly showing or actualizing strict methodologies when customers are trying to purchase weapons. In December of 2018, an underage Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. tried to buy a handgun. In July 2021, Darnell Jones tried to purchase a rifle but failed the background check. I bring these newsworthy talking points to your attention for a number of reasons. First off, the alleged murderer enrolled at the University of Virginia in 2018, a walk-on the football team at that time. By December of the year he enrolled at school, the alleged murderer was trying to purchase a handgun from a Colonial Heights sporting goods store. I want you to think about that. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions, but that's part of the timeline now. He enrolled in the school in 2018. Football players get there before students do, so that's probably in early August. By December of the first semester that he enrolled at the University of Virginia, the alleged murderer is trying to buy a gun from a Colonial Heights sporting goods store. I am not going to jump to conclusions of why he tried to buy a gun. I find it curious. I think that's a fair word. Curious. A few months after enrolling, he's trying to buy a gun. I find it curious. In July of 2021, he tried to buy a rifle, but he failed the background check. Scott Aaronworth, if you're watching, I'm curious of this. Any attorneys, if you're watching, I do not know this answer. I'm counting on you for this. Early of last year, he was charged and convicted with a concealed weapon conviction. Scott, is that enough to fail the background check of trying to purchase a rifle in July of 2021? Is that why he likely failed the background check? I am curious. You have an answer? We go to a two-shot? You pulling the mic in front of you and raising your hand, I stop to listen to what you have to say.
So you're asking about why he failed to secure guns at one point. I have read that.
No, I'm asking specifically this. He tried to buy a gun from this Colonial Heights. He tried to buy a rifle from this Colonial Heights sporting goods store on July 8th, 2021. And he was unsuccessful in purchasing this rifle because he failed the background check. Did he fail the background check to buy this rifle in July of last year because of his conviction and the concealed weapons?
Yes. What I read
That's
is,
why?
Yeah, what I read is that if any of the convictions that he had been pursued as felonies, then he would not have been able to buy a gun.
But they were not pursued as felonies.
All. But because they were misdemeanor charges, and he had, I believe it was a 1-year suspension or something.
Suspended sentence.
Yeah. So he tried to buy a gun in the middle of that suspended sentence, and that is why he was flagged and failed to buy the gun. The next time he tried to buy weapons was after the end of the 1-year suspended sentence, so there was no flag, and he was able to buy them.
Very good. That's legit knowledge. Scott Aaronworth is commenting. He's a criminal attorney from Virginia Beach, the king of Virginia Beach, who has helped me with this unfortunate mass murder by offering perspective. Scott Aaronworth was the one yesterday who offered the valuable perspective. And I don't mind if we'll go on a one shot here and bring you back in on a two. I don't mind bringing you in a two. I respect you tremendously. You know this.
Yeah.
You're a very well-read person. Scott Aaronworth was the one yesterday who said, be on the lookout for a change of motion venue, which I had not thought of, because how are you going to find a jury pool in the Albemarle County, Charlottesville area that legitimately is not going to go in with a bias towards this guy, towards the alleged murderer? So he's saying a jury...
I mean, with the way things are these days, I don't know where you... I mean, I've seen him on, he's across the news.
I think it would be much more difficult to find it in the Charlottesville area than if you changed had a venue change.
That's fair. It's going to get tougher to do that, though.
I mean, the last thing you want is a tainted jury that could be utilized in an appeal scenario.
Right.
Now, he has this comment, Scott Aaronworth, the criminal attorney, about the background check. He says this: you can still possess a gun even though you have a concealed weapons conviction. That would not prevent them from selling the alleged murderer a rifle However, his felony hit and run charge was pled out to a misdemeanor hit and run. So he was not able to purchase the rifle at this Colonial Heights sporting goods store because it was still within the 12-month period of time on his conviction last year. But because that 12-month period of time had expired is the right word, had expired, then he was able to purchase.
Yeah, once the sentence was over, once the suspended sentence was over, then it didn't cause any red flags on his
Background check.
Yeah.
Scott, is that a good read right there? Scott Aaronworth. Sarah Buczynski, we're going to get to this comment here about the Shamrock Road listings. Thank you, Sarah. Jamie Turner, I'm going to tag you in a post, Jamie Turner, from Sarah Hill Buczynski, a talented realtor, about the Shamrock Road listings from our friend Tim Grossman. Scott, is that a good read here, what Judah's dropping over here? I believe Judah's dropping some knowledge here. Jane Carter Green, welcome to the program. J-Dubs is right. He says you're right. J-Dubs is right. Thank you, Scotty Aaronworth, the King of Virginia Beach. So let's recap what you just said again for the viewers and listeners.
So if his charge, whichever charge, if it was the, I don't remember if it was the concealed weapon charge or the vehicle
hit and
charge,
run.
Vehicle charges, yeah. But whichever one resulted in the suspended sentence, if that had been, I read somebody specifically making this point, obviously, about gun control. The fact of the matter is, if he had been charged as a felony, if that had been charged as a felony, whether or not there was a suspended sentence, he would not have been able to buy weapons even after the sentence was over. But because it was a misdemeanor, as soon as the sentence was done, it no longer caused red flags in the check.
In the background check.
Yeah.
Scott Aaronworth makes this comment, King of Virginia Beach, talented criminal attorney. He says, I don't mean to second guess the Petersburg prosecutor, but why did they agree to reduce the felony to a misdemeanor? I've done a little bit of reading on this here. And Scott, this is you're the pro, Scott. You're the pro here. Virginia Beach attorney, you're the pro. From what I've read on one of the reasons potentially why they agreed to reduce the felony to a misdemeanor was jails are severely overcrowded. And on first offenses, they offer leeway. I'm not going to get into the politics of this. There's certainly politics of prosecutors choosing not to actualize or utilize the full extent of the law. Instead of utilizing prison and jail.
He's a young man going to UVA. Maybe they wanted to give him a chance.
He came from a tough upbringing, a violent neighborhood, marginalized financially community, riddled with violence. Maybe they're trying to give the guy a chance. Other folks have said this is a tactic utilized by prosecutors because jails are overcrowded and they're not trying to further crowd prisons and jails. So they're looking to drop a lot of these crimes that could be dropped from felonious to misdemeanor and down the scale. But Scott, we listen to you on this topic, sir. And he says, let's talk reality. Getting a gun on the streets is much easier than getting a Taylor Swift ticket to her new tour. Yeah, the Taylor Swift tickets are very difficult to get. Our friend of the program, Mr. Bill Munkachi, successfully got Taylor Swift tickets for he and his beautiful wife, Megan. Wow. Those tickets are very difficult to get. You get a gun on the street, you have a much better chance of doing that than going to see the swiftest of the Taylors in concert. All right, one more topic from the UVA. So I just relayed some fresh information to you, the statement from the Dance Sporting Goods owner who highlighted that the alleged murderer on 2 separate occasions tried to buy guns from the Colonial Heights Sporting Goods store and did so unsuccessfully. I got one other piece of information that I'd like to relay to you of Deshaun Perry. Deshaun Perry is the linebacker who died. Anonymous, I'm going to get to this comment here about the Shamrock Road properties and your comments from yesterday, which I thought were valuable. That's the I Love CVille Network's Deep Throat. Sarah Hill Buchensky and Jamie Turner, get ready for these comments on Shamrock Road from Anonymous. They're fantastic. Before I do, I need to get to Deshaun Perry. Deshaun Perry, the linebacker, one of the 3 that died, the Perry family now has a family spokesman. The family spokesman, we can look into that. The family lawyer is Michael Haggard, if you want to look into that. Michael Haggard, Haggard, Michael Haggard. Michael Haggard has a direct tie to the Deshaun Perry family. He says this at a press conference. He's a personal friend of the Perry family. Michael Haggard, the attorney, his son played football with Deshaun Perry in Florida at Gulliver Prep in Florida, Judah. The attorney and spokesman, Michael Haggard, called Deshaun Perry a tremendous light. It's extremely important to highlight this. The Deshaun Perry family spokesman, who's an attorney, he represented the families in the Parkland school shooting. So not only is the spokesman for this family super tight with the family, not only is this spokesman, the son of the spokesman, played football in high school in Florida at Gulliver Prep with Deshaun Perry, but the spokesman, the attorney, also represented the families in the Parkland school shooting mass murder. I'll leave it to you to take it from there. I found that newsworthy or noteworthy. Would you agree with that? Yeah. And I'll leave it to you guys to take it from there. Last update. Mike Hollins, the running back who was shot in the back, and according to his mother, he came back on the bus to help his teammates. Mike Hollins is now walking in hospital care at the University of Virginia. He's walking now. So it's a glimmer of hope and positivity for the running back Mike Hollins from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'd like to now put the UVA mass murder not behind us, not to the side, not forgotten, still front and center on my mind. I know it's still front and center on your mind, but I'd like to highlight a couple of other topics on today's show. I think we've done a strong and a focused job on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of talking the mass murder. I'd like to highlight a couple of other topics today. If you have the sound ready to go, I'll count you into that. Cole Hendricks has died. Cole Hendricks was the former city manager of Charlottesville, Virginia. He served as city manager for Charlottesville, Virginia for 25 years, from 1971 to 1996. Cole Hendricks was often seen walking around Charlottesville smoking a pipe, dressed in colorful suits. He was instrumental in the development of the downtown mall, the pedestrian downtown mall. There was tremendous opposition to the downtown mall and converting it to a pedestrian mall from a car-centric mall, but Cole Hendricks led that charge. He was also involved with the creation of the Rivanna Water and Sewer Authority. He was involved with the creation of the Rivanna Solid Waste Authority. During his time as city manager, he was influential in the revenue sharing agreement between the city and Albemarle County. He helped create a cooperation agreement between the city, the county, and the University of Virginia. He also served as the interim town manager of Orange County, Virginia, and was an associate vice president for community relations at the University Health Science Center. In 2013, Cole Hendricks was awarded the Paul Goodloe McIntyre Citizenship Award by the Charlottesville Regional Chamber of Commerce. Cole Hendricks was as much a part of Charlottesville, Virginia, as a Gus Burger, a Bodo's Bagel, the Jefferson Theater, the Dave Matthews Band, John Castine. When you think Charlottesville, there's a certain generation that's still alive on this planet. They think Cole Hendricks. I had the true fortune of spending an hour plus with Cole Hendricks' wife, Janet, on this show. Former Charlottesville Mayor David Toscano, and join us in that interview. A delegate in the Commonwealth, now a talented author and esquire. Judah, if we can get that sound ready to go with Janet Hendricks highlighting her beloved Cole Hendricks, who passed away earlier this week. 3, 2, 1.
Cole's method of management was management by walking around. He said that all the time. He walked the city, he drove places to see what things look like in neighborhoods. If the trees were hanging too low, did they need to be trimmed back? Did he need to get public works out? But he was a humble man. He was not an out front guy. Wouldn't you agree?
I definitely would agree. Harry Truman once said, you can get a lot done if you don't care who gets the credit.
That's right.
He was a master at that because you would go into a budget session, and as counselor here or counselor there was trying to find a little extra money for this program or that program. And Cole knew how to play his cards close to the vest, but he also knew how to pull out that ace of spades or that ace of hearts at the right time to find that little extra money from some pot that he knew about to help make that counselor feel good about what was going in the budget.
Yep.
And that counselor could then take credit for it.
Yep.
That's the essence of someone who knows how to lead and get things done. It wasn't about him. No. It was about other people feeling invested in the process and making sure that they felt like they were getting things done.
I love it. I love it. We have Cole Hendricks. Rest in peace. The longer you and I are alive on this planet, the more we realize every day how precious life is. And we certainly have experienced that this week in many different regards. Tell someone you love them today, someone you otherwise wouldn't say it to. Give someone a hug today, someone you otherwise would not hug. And count your blessings with Thanksgiving right around the corner. Because this beautiful thing we call life is about as fickle and vulnerable and precious a thing we have. My thoughts and prayers are certainly with Janet Hendricks and her family. Okay. I'd like to talk upzoning today. Deep Throat, we're going to get to some of your comments here. First, let me set the stage. Sarah Hill Buchensky, I appreciate your comment as well. Sarah Hill Buchensky is a talented realtor with Howard Hanna, Roy Wheeler. Earlier this year, we had the friend of this show, Tim Grossman, on. Tim Grossman is a realtor with RE/MAX. And Tim Grossman, I'd say about 20 years ago, roughly, he purchased some properties on Shamrock Road. And for an extended period of time, someone get Tim Grossman in the mix and let him know we're giving him some props here. And for an extended period of time, Tim Grossman has been renting these properties on Shamrock Road. Getting good money for those properties too. Well, Tim Grossman, and I see him around the Boar's Head. He's a racket sports aficionado, plays tennis. He, prior to listing his 2 Shamrock Road properties, we started conversating and talking over some cold beers. And he said, this upzoning that the city's contemplating really impacts the homes I got on Shamrock Road, right in the shadows of Scott Stadium. It really creates some density potential for these 2 properties. Jerry, I'm thinking about selling them. And I said, I see the opportunity as well. And I think you're going to have a lot of different suitors for your property. And he gave it some thought, and he thought about it some more. He's a realtor. When you're a realtor and you own some real estate, you don't have a lot to lose. You can put the property on the MLS yourself. He didn't even take fancy photos of it. In fact, I think he took photography on his iPhone. Posted the photos that he took on his iPhone with tenants in the houses. Some of the photos showed the rehabilitation that the properties needed. And I'll leave it at that, rehabilitation. Were they in great shape? No, they were not. But what the properties had going for them was the upzoning potential. He listed the properties, and very quickly, suitors and speculators started chomping at the bit. And eventually, these 2 Shamrock Road properties, which were on the Scott Stadium side of Jefferson Park Avenue, went under contract and closed. And as Sarah Hill Buchensky, friend of the program, talented realtor herself, she highlighted these 2 properties sold for $594,000 each. $594,000 times 2 is $1,188,000. $1,188,000. They were listed at $699,000 each. So Tim basically wanted $1.4 million. He did not get the $1.4 million. But the $594,000 times 2, basically $1.2 million, was way more than what he paid. And I know what he paid. I'm not going to blow up his spot. This is public record. You can look it up on the GIS if you want. This dude made a killing. He made a killing, he made a killing, and he made a killing on top of it. On top of the tax advantages he held with owning these properties, he enjoyed with owning these properties, and the rents and the rents he banked from these properties. Now, I want to highlight this. This was on the Scott Stadium side of Jefferson Park Avenue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and listeners of this fine and fair talk show, and Deep Throat, I'm about to get to your comments here, Deep Throat. We have 2 new Shamrock Road listings that are for sale. Judah, these are 201 and 205 Shamrock Road. I'm going to give you a cue to throw those photos up on screen. Tim Carson has the listing. Real Estate 3's Tim Carson. I've done a deal with Tim Carson to purchase commercial real estate that I still own today. Tim Carson is a good realtor, an honest realtor, an organized realtor. He's one of the head honchos at Real Estate 3. I believe he's the vice president of Real Estate 3. The shot caller right below friend of the program and my neighbor, CEO Jeff Gaffney. Tim Carson's got 2 Shamrock Road listings that are not on the Scott Stadium side of JPA. They are on the Cherry Avenue side of JPA. When you go on the other side of JPA, the properties are further from Scott Stadium and further from grounds and closer toward a, how do I put this? Closer to a locals centered portion of the city and further from a student centered part of the city. That's fair. These 2 properties are listed, and I'll give you the addresses so you can find them online. 201 Shamrock Road and 205 Shamrock Road. I'll read the copy from the listing that Tim Carson has. Judah, you can put the 2 photos on screen. Is it the first 2 ones that you have? Okay. Rotate those through if you could. They're both aerial ones. Is the second pic just a picture of one house?
Yeah, the side.
Okay. So the first one's the main one because it shows both of them, right? These properties are close to the railroad tracks. There's a railroad that runs on that part of Shamrock Road, on the other side of Jefferson Park Avenue, very close to the railroad tracks. The asking price is $1,450,000 for these properties. I will say, and I'll leave you to take it from there, these properties need rehabilitation. I'm not going to throw shade anywhere. They need rehabilitation and TLC, and I'll leave it at that. I'll read the copy from the listing. Tim Carson's got the listing. He's an associate broker at Real Estate 3. Don't miss these 2 city homes currently used as duplexes. 4 units total with over an acre of land, located in the city of Charlottesville near the University of Virginia, located only a few minute walks to UVA bus line and a 10-minute walk to the football stadium. Perfect opportunity to build more bedrooms and apartments. Current zoning suggests a possibility of 4 to 6 duplex units, or change the zoning to R3 for 22 to 44 units. Of course, that's subject to city approval. Tim Carson says there are not many parcels of land over an acre available in the city currently, and the homes must be sold together. He also says the rental units are grossly under-rented. These houses were built in 1935, Judah. 1935. What you're buying here is the upzoning potential. And let's get Anonymous in the mix. Anonymous says this, the I Love Seville versions of Deep Throat. Shamrock Road properties are a signal or an example of how additional development potential from upzoning gets capitalized into the price of land and redevelopable properties. There are no magic beans. He's exactly right. I got 2 other comments I'm going to read from Deep Throat here. The I Love Seville version of Deep Throat. What's happening, and folks don't want to admit this, and I'm not afraid to call a spade, okay? I'm not afraid to call it a spade. If you watch the show here, you know that I'm not, there's very little that I'm afraid to do. But here's what's happened. You got a small minority that's loud and organized on social media And this small minority is using social media as a megaphone to persuade, influence city council to push upzoning through. And the foundation of their argument is upzoning will create more density in a 10.2 square mile city that's restricted from a development standpoint. There's no more land really to develop here in the city of Charlottesville. 10.2 square miles, super restricted. So the concept is, let's take the current real estate we have. 53% of the city of Charlottesville, 53% of the city of Charlottesville is zoned R1. And in R1 zoning is single family detached. And the concept is let's upzone a lot of the city. And let's do it in strategic areas of the city. A good example is around the University of Virginia. And if we can create more density in strategic areas around the city, like the University of Virginia, then this additional density should help alleviate increased price points. And one of the reasons we have an affordability issue, and I agree with this, one of the reasons we have an affordability issue in the city of Charlottesville is because we don't have enough housing stock. The housing stock is limited. And of course the housing stock is limited. The city is small. It's only 10.2 square miles. So there's only a certain amount of rooftops. And Anonymous, I'm going to get to what you sent me yesterday that I thought was damn good. So this small vocal minority that's using social media as a megaphone to sway and influence city council is pushing upzoning through. And the entire premise of their argument is the additional density will drive price points downward because the housing inventory will go upward. There will be more rooftops, more bedrooms, more doors. Instead, what is happening is this, at least in the short term. The long term is to be determined. In the short term, what is happening, Tim Grossman's listing is a perfect example. You're getting homes that maybe would command a $300,000, maybe a $350,000 price tag. Homes that combined should be selling for $700,000, maybe $700,000. They're selling instead for $1.2 million. You got homes on the other side of Jefferson Park Avenue by the railroad tracks that have an asking price of basically $1.5 million, 1.4. And you got speculators, capitalists, and I have no problem with capitalism. I'm a capitalist myself. I fancy myself, and I've proven this time over time, to be a social entrepreneur. I run multiple businesses in the black, including real estate business and a real estate portfolio, but I do it in a way that leaves the community in a better place. Yes, you have to make profits to keep the businesses running, but you can do it in a way where your footprint makes the community better. That's a social entrepreneur, a conscious capitalist. Okay? There's nothing wrong with capitalism. There's varying degrees of capitalism. There's capitalism that 100,000% all that's focused upon is profits over everything else, and that's not what we try to be here. We consider profits and community at equal levels. But you got speculators purchasing this real estate around the city that's in these upzone areas. And these speculators don't even necessarily have ties to the community. The people the investors, and I know who they are, the investors that bought Tim Grossman's listing off Shamrock Road close to Scott Stadium, there are no ties to the community, guys. No ties to the community. Deep pockets want a stake in Charlottesville because of the fact that they can add significant density to what they bought. Tim Carson's good dude. Tim Carson, who's got the listings, the one on the Cherry Avenue side, they're both Tims. There's Tim Grossman, who got the Scott Stadium ones, the one by Scott Stadiums. Those have sold, 1.2 million roughly. Now you got the ones that are on the Cherry Avenue side, and they're listed by Tim Carson. Carson's a hell of a realtor. Tim Carson, you're a hell of a realtor. You're good at what you do. Tim Carson, in the copy to market the listing, 1935-year-old homes, homes that are approaching 100 years old here, 88-year homes here. He says in the marketing for the listing, with city approval, you can put 22 to 44 units on there. That's a boatload of units. Now, you're going to have to build it, and you're going to have to pay for that construction, and you're going to have to go through the permitting and the red tape and all the mumbo-jumbo that comes with construction in the city of Charlottesville, and it's no easy task to do construction in the city of Charlottesville. There's a reason Oliver Kuttner is sprinting to Lynchburg to do his development projects. No easy task doing construction and development in the city of Charlottesville. Just ask Keith Woodard, who walked away from $1.2 million of underground infrastructure when he was trying to do the Water Street development that was going to be the home for the farmers market. He said, to hell with the $1.2 million I've already spent in underground infrastructure. I'm not dealing with this city anymore. That's literally what happened. So I ask you this question, and I'll leave it to you, the viewer and listener, to figure this out on your own. Is the upzoning that's being championed by a loud, vocal minority truly driving affordability in a 10.2 square mile landlocked city? Or is the upzoning being capitalized by deep-pocketed investors that see the potential for dramatic increases in rent roll potential? And I'll leave it to you to figure that question out. Now, two other comments from Anonymous that really got me thinking. These comments from Anonymous, the I Love CVille Network's version of Deep Throat, are real estate related, and these are damn good. Anonymous, you make the program better. Since you've started sending me DMs, dude, the show is better. I sincerely mean that, better. He says this. This is fascinating. And Anonymous has given me the green light to say that he works in finance. I just used a pronoun. I'm not supposed to use a pronoun. All right. I used a he. Anonymous is a he. All right. He works in finance. This is what he DM'd me yesterday. What Anonymous DM'd me yesterday. I checked the top 10 houses in the city of Charlottesville by assessments, Jerry. The top 10 houses, the median is $3.1 million for the top 10. The mean is $3.5 million for the top 10. And that includes homes number 1 and 2 that are owned by billionaires. He knows who they are. I know who they are. I see one often, and another one has come on the show multiple times. For the sake of privacy at that level of wealth, I'm not going to utilize the names of the people that own the 2 most expensive homes in Charlottesville, okay? Too much respect for these guys. But homes number 1 and 2 in the city of Charlottesville are legitimately owned by basically billionaires. Here's something fascinating. This is from Anonymous, there are only 50 houses in the city with an assessed value of over $1,750,000. I'll give that to you again. Judah, this is fascinating. There's only 50 homes in the city of Charlottesville that have an assessed value of over $1,750,000. Anonymous says, this is Anonymous talking here, there's just no high-end inventory in the city. Albemarle County is a different story. Anonymous also says this. All the New York City finance refugees. These are Manhattan financiers that have transplanted to Charlottesville because they can either work hybridly or remotely or have retired. He says, all the New York City finance refugees I know live in either Farmington, Ednam, Keswick, or on beautiful farmettes out west of town or in the Keswick area. Anonymous then does a little, what's the word? When you use the humor where you're kind of knocking yourself down? Self-deprecating. He used a little self-deprecating humor. He says, I'm the chump in the city being governed by the virtue signaling Charlottesville leadership. 50 houses in the city of Charlottesville with an assessment of over $1,750,000. If you look at the top 10 houses in the city of Charlottesville, the mean is $3.5 million and the median is $3.1 million, and the top two are owned by legitimate billionaires. Anonymous, you've made the program better since you've started commenting. And you have my word as a man and father and husband that I will respect your anonymity until the grave. I promise you. All right, last topic, and then I'm going to get to the comments. And there's a lot of comments coming in. Kevin Yancey, I'm going to get to your comments. Sarah Hill-Buchensky, I'm going to get to your comments. Put your comments in the feed if you want to respond to this. Scotty Aaronworth, I'll get to your comments. Put the comments in the feed. We'll aggregate them and get them on there. Bill McChesney, Chad Wood. I'll get to all these comments here. A lot of comments coming in here. Last topic before I get to the comments. Or two more topics, excuse me. Ivy Roadhouse is now closed. It closed a short time ago, unfortunately. I thought Ivy Roadhouse, frankly, was going to do well in the Ivy-Crozet area because there's not a lot of restaurant options out there. However, Ivy Roadhouse is now closed. Ivy Roadhouse is now also for lease. Friend of the program, Stu Rifkin, is marketing and leasing the property. Ivy Roadhouse is almost 4,000 square feet. It's being leased as a fully equipped restaurant, fully equipped. The copy says in immaculate condition, outdoor seating, below market rate, and a great landlord, a spacious kitchen. The asking price is $7,000 a month rent. Ivy Roadhouse now closed, 4,000 square feet roughly, asking price $7,000 a month in rent. It's being leased with a fully equipped, spacious kitchen, immaculate shape, outdoor seating, and a below-market rental rate, according to the listing agent, Stu Rifkin. Stu is a straightforward, a straight shooter, and a guy that I've done business with. And Stu also says, highlight that the landlord is fantastic. Stu Rifkin is a stand-up guy. I have done deals with Stu. He is a stand-up guy. Heck, his son, Joey, filled in for J-Dubs while J-Dubs was basking in the Nags Head sunshine, working on his tan, his surfing skills, and his creation of sandcastles with his family. You guys went to Nags Head, right? Did you do any of that stuff? Can we go on a two-shot and get you in the mix? Did you get some suntan? You tan, don't you? Did you build some sandcastles? Did you do some surfing?
I don't remember building too many sandcastles.
Do any surfing?
No, I wish.
Did you work on your suntan?
The one time I went surfing was, I think we went out there one year and it basically rained the entire time we were there.
Did you work on your suntan?
A little bit.
Okay. Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
You did go to Nags Head, right? The Outer Banks? Did you go to Duck?
Yeah, we drove through Duck quite a few times.
Where did you go?
We go to Corolla.
Oh, Corolla. Okay. You drive on the beach to get to the house?
No, thank goodness.
I like driving on the beach. Got to let the air out of the tires.
Yeah, it can be risky.
Why? You're saying the vehicle getting washed away in the ocean or getting stuck on the beach?
Both.
I want to bring you in the mix. Donald Trump announced, and we haven't highlighted this because of other items in the news cycle. And a lot of aspect of Trump infuriates me. Donald Trump highlighted that he's running for president earlier this week. We'll close on this before we get to the viewers' comments on the show. You love him or you hate him, you absolutely know he's there. One of the most divisive individuals in America today. Running for president for, I don't think, the best interest of the country, maybe the best interest for him and his legal scenarios, and I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get into the politics of this. I want to talk about the influence and the impact of Donald Trump running for president. I think the influence and the impact undoubtedly is going to be felt at the polls. I think you're going to see the Democratic Party undoubtedly charged and full of momentum because Donald Trump is running for president.
Yeah.
Folks that otherwise may not have voted or were on the cusp of voting will be voting now. I think many folks in the Republican Party are angry, infuriated that Trump is running because he is undoubtedly a party divider. I think you had a potential very good chance of someone winning the presidency in DeSantis in Florida, who now is minimum scratching his head, frankly probably pissed off and angry that Trump is doing this.
No doubt.
And I think from an early analysis standpoint, Trump running for president drives tailwinds behind the Democrats and headwinds in front of the GOP.
Definitely.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I think what we saw after the last election, Trump squandered a lot of his political capital, and I think now he's just a divisive figure, and I don't think he's doing anything to help the right.
Yeah. This is about him.
Yeah.
What's the word you use with him? Is it you that uses the word megalomaniac?
I don't think I've used that before. But I do wish somebody would stand by him and slap the phone out of his hand anytime he reaches for Twitter. Although I guess he can't anymore, can he?
Well, Musk owns it now.
Yeah.
Musk a businessman.
I haven't heard anything about...
Musk certainly a Republican.
Yeah. But
And Musk knows that Trump drives Twitter traffic that Musk can then monetize.
No doubt.
And Twitter was hemorrhaging $4 million a day. And Musk is going to do his best to try to monetize that business and keep it from bankruptcy, which he said is a possibility.
But I haven't heard anything about Trump getting his account reinstated, so they're moving pretty slowly, if at all.
I'll get to comments here. Scott Aaronworth says it feels like he will lose the nomination. He will run as a third-party candidate and take his supporters with him. I think that's going to happen as well, Scott Aaronworth. I think he's going to lose the GOP nomination, and then you're going to see Trump running in 2024 as a third-party candidate, and there is a lot of Trump supporters in this country who will vote for him, which will splinter DeSantis's base, which will then drive momentum in case Joe Biden and his $12 waffle cones want to run again. And that is a scary proposition, having another 4 years of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And $12 waffle cones. And I'll leave it at that. Scott also thinks the University of Virginia is about to get sued. I hate to say this because I bleed orange and blue. My dad went to UVA. I went to UVA. My brother went to UVA. I would love if my 4.5-year-old it's got some time went to UVA, and our son that is due on Tuesday would love if he went to UVA. No pressure, boys. You can do whatever you want, I promise. I hate to say this, but I think the University of Virginia is going to get sued as well.
I definitely wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
If nothing else, for moving so sluggishly on the information that they learned about the
alleged killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So slow. So slow.
Yeah.
And University of Virginia should pay the piper. Pay the piper. Kevin Yancey, the king of Waynesboro. It's close to the tracks, the Shamrock Row listings. They are more student-centered than local center. Just across the tracks are apartments full of students. I lived in that area myself, Kevin Yancey, and I lived in that area as a student of the University of Virginia and also looked at purchasing property in that area myself. Students do not want to live on that side of the Jefferson Park Avenue. They do not want to live. They look there last. I understand it's close, but that side of JPA is not the side the students want to live on. He also highlights that Ivy Roadhouse had zero curb appeal and no landscaping, and that Trump's influence has vastly diminished and the GOP is running from him.
Yeah.
I think the GOP is running from him as well. I think anyone watching the program must understand that Trump running is going to help the Democrats win the White House in 2024. $12 waffle cones, geez Louise. Are you ready for that? Judah Wickower.
You know, I put less I put less on Biden than I think a lot of people do because I have seen.
All they would have to do is keep Biden in the basement. Keep Biden out of the public eye and just run on the Biden brand. The Biden brand would be enough to beat a splintered GOP. Because DeSantis was counting on Trump's supporters to vote for him.
Yeah.
A DeSantis Youngkin ticket, and I'm not saying Youngkin would have been the guy. Knowing Youngkin, he wants to be the number one. I'm not sure Youngkin is accustomed to being a number two. But a DeSantis Youngkin ticket legitimately could have won the White House.
They'd have a chance, yeah.
They'd have a really good chance to win the White House.
Yeah, but not with the party split.
Not with the party split like this. Chad Wood says there's a memorial 3:30 Saturday at the John Paul Jones Arena. Thank you, Chad Wood, for highlighting that. Sarah Hill Buchensky offered very much positive perspective on friend of the program, Tim Grossman's listings. Tim Grossman closed basically a $1.2 million deal on Shamrock Road. I see him weekly, often. Sarah, you made the program better. She also says the reality is both parties are largely the same at this point. How do you characterize both parties? Caricatures of their former selves? Anyone wonder what happened to the Ronald Reagan and John F. Kennedy, Republican and Democrats? I certainly do. What happened to the Ronald Reagan and John F. Kennedy, Republicans and Democrats? That were much more centered.
I think the vocal minority on either side have basically shouted down any semblance of unity of not unity, but crossing the aisle to get things done.
It doesn't even. You're right. You can't even do it anymore.
Yeah, because if any politician even suggests making inroads to the other side, if they suggest
Perfect example of this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, is Denver Riggleman.
Yeah.
Denver Riggleman, a rising star in the GOP. I am a huge fan of Denver Riggleman.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of him as well.
Huge fan of Denver Riggleman. The congressman, the small business owner, a man of common sense. Denver Riggleman officiates a same-sex wedding, and Denver Riggleman becomes blackballed by the GOP.
Yeah. Persona non grata.
And now we have Bob Good.
Yep.
Who basically appears to own a lot of the Commonwealth GOP.
Yeah, and it's the same on the left as it is on the right. Anybody suggesting compromise or finding common ground is basically kicked out, like what happened to Riggleman. They'll find a way to move you out of your seat, out of the limelight, and you just end up with caricatures.
Yeah, it's caricature of your
far right, far left, and
they're caricatures of their former selves.
And
You know what
never-
they remind me of? I apologize for interrupting.
No,
Please
go
finish
ahead.
your thought. No, please finish your thought. I shouldn't do that.
I was just saying that every time it happens, we get further and further away from any type of compromise in any bill, any situation, there's just no reaching across the aisle. There's no working things out. It's whatever they say is wrong, which is a horrible way to govern.
It reminds me of, when you go to like a tourist destination and or a theme park, like a Busch Gardens or a King's Dominion or a Six Flags, and there's the artist that takes your profile or your picture
Yeah.
and turns it into like a cartoon.
Yeah. Caricature.
That's what we have now.
Yeah.
We have
Pretty much.
we have one who's slurping $12 waffle cones, saying that inflation's not a problem, who's tripping down the stairs getting off Air Force One, can't put his jacket on, is getting lost around the podium, highlighting people in press conferences that have been dead for months. And then we have another
I mean, when your
who's a bully
when your nickname is, I don't even know what it is.
who uses either tan in a can or a sun or a what do you call those things? A tanning bed.
I don't know what he uses, but his nickname is what? The Big Orange Guy or something?
The Cheeto. We got caricatures.
Yeah.
Got caricatures. Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, says the Big Tent is gone. And he also says, how would ranked choice voting impact the three-way presidential race? I could do an entire show on that topic, Neil. I very much appreciated your Twitter thread yesterday from the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. It seems like ranked choice voting will not be a reality in the 2023 Albemarle County Board of Supervisors race. Neil, thank you for your attention and coverage of important local elections that we are all very passionate about. Todd Raff, the owner of Blue Toad Hard Cider, says Trump is Perot, DeSantis is George H. Bush, Biden is Clinton, Trump goes independent to ruffle feathers. There you go. Todd Raff, a land use guy and craft beverage enthusiast and an all-around A-plus person. Bill McChesney says the two listings that I highlighted on Shamrock Road on the other side of Jefferson Park Avenue, remember the asking price is $1,450,000. Those two houses have a property value, assessed value on the GIS of $649,700. The asking price, Judah, is $1,450,000, and the assessed GIS value is $649,000. Upzoning. Future land use map.
Crazy.
Crazy. Anything else you want to highlight?
No.
Kevin Yancey, Vice President Pence said it best last night on CNN. The three branches have lost all civility.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't even get me started on the Pennsylvania Senate race.
I don't know much about that.
Dr.
But I will
Oz
get you
and-
started. Oh, yeah.
Dr. Oz and John Fetterman. John Fetterman doing press conferences wearing Carhartt hoodies, shorts, and sandals. Legitimately. U.S. Senator doing press conferences with Carhartt hoodies, shorts, and sandals on. He won.
Well, to be fair, I don't know that a suit makes anyone particularly any more or less suited to office.
Oh, nicely done there. Carhartt hoodies, sandals, and shorts. And this is coming from a guy who wears sandals. I mean, one of my main issues, and I have, look, I'm not throwing shade on a stroke victim. He had a stroke, massive stroke. I had a grandmother, Mima, who eventually died because of a stroke. Electing someone who is having an incredibly difficult time communicating when his job is to communicate seems...
Short-sighted?
What's the word I should be using here?
I don't know. I said short-sighted.
Okay. I'll say short-sighted. Odd. I don't want to throw shade. All right, he's Judah Wickower. I'm Jerry Miller. This is the Thursday edition of the I Love CVille show. You guys have a good afternoon, and please hug someone you normally do not hug and say I love you to somebody that you normally do not say I love you to. Today and this week, we saw the passing of Cole Hendricks, former city manager of Charlottesville, and 3 young men with promising potential. Hug someone you don't normally hug and say I love you to someone you don't normally say I love you to. Have a good afternoon.